Welcome everyone. Today you can all simmer down now. Your many requests have been heard. Today we will be reviewing the animated continuation of the Godzilla movie, Godzilla the Animated Series, which, spoilers, is 1,000 times better than the movie it spawned from. Like, seriously guys, this is a good one. See you all after the title card. So, seeing like with Evolution, this is a continuation of a live-action film that has continuity between both. I feel that, again, I have to give you a twofer and talk about the film as well. Matthew Broderick, who plays a scientist named Nick Totopoulos, but let's face it, Matthew Broderick can only play Matthew Broderick, so will be referred to as such, is called upon to study a giant footprint that turns out to be Godzilla. And in a turn that no one sees coming, the idiots who wrote this don't get Godzilla. Anywho, after some padding that they try and pass off as build-up, a meme joke that lives in infamy,
that's a lot of fish,
and a bunch of unfunny shenanigans, a mutant marine iguana that is later retconned into being a monster separate from Godzilla that is called Gino, aka Godzilla in name only, by Godzilla purists and will be referred to as such throughout the rest of this review, does battle with the US military in New York. They do some techno-babble and find out that the beast is pregnant and reproduces asexually. They have a bunch of lazy action scenes, kill off the brood, have a lazy CGI fight with Gino, kill her, and the movie ends. Years later, Toho did a movie where the real Godzilla kills the faker, and they didn't let an American film company touch their golden goose clear up until the 2010s. Now that that is out of the way, let's get to the series, starting with the technicals. Godzilla the Animated Series is an American-Japanese animated television series developed by Jeff Kline and Richard Ryans, which originally aired on Fox Kids in the United States between September 1998 and April 2000, with the premise being that Dr. Nick Totopoulos, the main character from the first movie, found a late hatching egg of the clutch that Genozilla laid during the last third of the film, where after imprinting on Nick, seeing how he was the first thing he saw, became the new Zilla, and Nick raised him in secret knowing that if radiation created the original Geno, that more monsters were probably on the way. So this new Zilla is basically an attack dog, and comparing him to a large breed dog like a border collie or something along those lines is an apt comparison, given that he follows Nick everywhere around the world. Now onto the characters, starting with Zilla himself, voiced by the Lord of Voiceover himself, Frank Welker. And unlike Geno, who is essentially a purely instinctual creature, this Zilla seems to have a good deal of intelligence, at least on par with a large breed dog. Seeing how he uses actual forethought and strategy during monster fights, including but not limited to what fellow YouTuber Tirzu would call cross-faction team play. Most notably during the Season 1 3-part finale, where he teams up with a bunch of mind-controlled kaiju monsters from previous episodes to thwart an alien invasion of Earth. And, also unlike Geno, this Zilla has complex emotions, having a strong familial bond with Nick and the rest of the main cast, and even showing a scene of him experiencing mourning and loss when his one-episode romantic interest, a giant monitor lizard, ends up dying. And now on to the rest of the Heat team, starting with Dr. Nick Totopoulos. The animated version of this character is so much better written and more competent than the movie version that they are practically different characters. This Nick has actual chops as a leader, is willing to risk his life when it's called for, and actually has smarts. Unlike the Matthew Broderick version, who has the informed trait of being smart, but isn't really shown to be. Then there is the paleobiologist of the team, Dr. Elsie Chapman. And if I had to sum up in one word, it will be sarcasm. Seriously, if Garfield the cat, Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender, and myself were fused into one entity, that abomination wouldn't be 1/1000th as sarcastic as this woman. Which makes her a good contrast for her opposites attract partner and the next character on the chopping block, Dr. Mendel Craven. Our good doctor is a robotics expert, who also has a few degrees in chemistry, both of which come in handy enough to justify him being there in the beginning because he starts out as a complete weenie. But over the course of the series grows a spine, and the cowardice has more to do with a severe lack of confidence. Because when push comes to shove, he takes action, and eventually overcomes his extreme cowardice to become a real hero. And now on to the slacker hacker of the group. Every action cartoon had to have at that time Randy Harden, the name you see on screen. Randy is the closest the show comes to an unlikable character, but never crosses that line. He's a top-notch hacker, which, given that the Heat team needs to deal with various governments of the world, comes in handy on more than one occasion, and occasionally makes advances towards the last crew member, the French foreign agent assigned to the Heat team specifically to monitor Godzilla and take him down if he ever goes AWOL, Monique Dupree. Monique is a French agent with a specialization in hand-to-hand combat and infiltration. She was originally sent to kill Godzilla, but becomes a member of Heat after being assigned to supervise Godzilla indefinitely. She genuinely seems cold and impassive, but genuinely cares for her teammates and Godzilla. And the fact that Randy hitting on her seems to be welcomed in a playing hard to get kind of way is the only reason I haven't gone on a rant about that. And last but not least, Dr. Craven's robotic assistant Nigel, who can be summed up by the following gag. Oh my god, they killed Nigel! You bastards! Anywho, your typical Godzilla the Animated Series episode follows a formula of sorts, and basically is the same as a Godzilla film from the Showa era, i.e., a starting incident happens, usually a random mutant kaiju shows up in case of the cartoon, the Heat team is called in to solve the human-kaiju conflict, Zilla shows up and loses in the first round because of reasons, the Heat team has to work with Godzilla to use science to solve the problem, Godzilla defeats the kaiju, and then the episode ends. The Showa movie era formula really just works with a shorter 22-minute format. And now for the animation. It is just good. There is little else to say about it. It's just plain good. Accolade at its best. There was a reason they were putting out the best not anime cartoons on Saturday morning during the early 2000s. If there is one or two bad things to say about this cartoon, and I wouldn't be doing my job fairly if I didn't say my piece on what I found wrong, it'll be that A, clearly most of the monsters were invented after a trip to a sushi bar, and more pressing, and B, the intro is horrible, bland, and does a shite job of setting the mood. It's Godzilla. I should be banging my head and raising the horns, not fighting the urge to sleep. Yeah, it's the Genoverse Godzilla, but Godzilla nonetheless. And now, because everyone loves countdown lists, here are my top 5 favorite Godzilla the Animated Series kaiju other than Zilla himself. Ready? Go! Number 5, the Shrewster. Radioactive who's a what's that causes a shrew to molecularly fuse with a tornado, thus creating a kaiju shrew with poisonous saliva and wind powers, thus giving us the most delectably absurd monster for the series. And since I love this kind of nonsense, the Shrewster earns a spot here. Number 4, the King Cobra. One of the recurring kaiju that helps Zilla save the Earth during the alien invasion arc after being held prisoner on Monster Island. His introduction episode takes place in Japan, where people start going missing because the kaiju King Cobra paralyzes people with its spitting venom, an act that the Japanese government blames Zilla for. But after the Heat team exonerates him after he fights with, then teams up with a giant robot yeti being controlled by Dr. Mendel's one episode only fry, Dr. Ifibukube. 03, the Giant Queen Bee. Introduced in the episode The Hive, radioactive material is brought to the surface because a volcano on an island blows its top. And as a result, the plant life mutated, and because the bees were making their honey from the mutated pollen, they became a hive of kaiju bees who made their home in an abandoned hotel on the island. The episode is one of the best showcases of Dr. Mendel's potential as a character. But if I'm being honest, the queen is here because bees really scare the poop out of me. Number 2, the Giant Bat. The most famous of the reoccurring kaiju, the giant bat, who is found using its supersonic powers terrorizing the people of Africa, was rounded up and held on Monster Island until the Alien Invasion 3-parter, where, after the brainwashing was undone, helped Zilla to defeat the reanimated cyborg corpse of Geno from the original film. Number 1, the DNA Creature. This monster, which according to the pseudoscientific in-show lore, is a being of pure DNA, that has the ability to copy the DNA, form, and memories of anything it touches. After combining with its female counterpart, which is held in a different lab using intelligence and subterfuge, they become kaiju-sized, and after the Heat team hits it with Science Goop, Zilla is able to defeat the John Carpenter's The Thing knockoff. And now to wrap things up. Godzilla the Animated Series was a really fun series that proves the old Bob Show adage, you can make anything work with a little time and creativity. They took a shite movie, the universe it happened in, and the characters who lived in it, and really turned it into something. And that's that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, and turn on notifications. Yeah, I know it's stupid, and if YouTube didn't have it set up its own butt, all you'd have to do is click subscribe. There's nothing I can do about that. Please help this channel grow by doing all of that and sharing on social media. Anywho, see you next time, everyone.